Good morning. It's early here. It's 8:30. All right. So today, it feels strange to hear a diluted version of myself. Today, we're going to talk about basically how to think about growth because I see that people get it wrong all the time. And they don't start with an understanding of the customer. And so I'm going to break down basically a framework for how to think about doing this, how to gather your insights, how to know what to say, how to know who to say it to. So let's dive into that. All right, we have the scariest thing on planet Earth here, a blank canvas. All right, let's start with some boxes. Everyone needs. Let's do like blue. Oh, I think I actually have my brand colors. Look at this. Look at me branding. I think I want to. This is what I want. All right, and no fill. All right, great. And then I think I want to remove the grid. Hide grid. There we go. All right, let's get a little text going here. CRM. All right, so this first layer that I'm building here is where to get your intelligence. Customers. Because before you can do anything, AEs, CEO, before you do anything, you really need to have an understanding of the market. Customers, AE, ChatGPT, which is, seriously, this is good. All right, actually, let's put this in order of importance. This is probably the order that you should start. Start with the person that knows the customer best because they have the best synthesized data. Then look at CRM data, which doesn't have any context here, but you'll at least know who you want to chat with. Then chat with customers, and then bring all of this into ChatGPT. So this is what I call a base layer of understanding. So this is the thing that people don't spend any time doing today. And it leads to ridiculous messaging because if you don't have a base layer of understanding, you don't really have the ability to take a meaningful conversation into the next category, which is niche insights. Okay. So coming out of the base layer understanding, what you really need to be able to do is answer these questions, which is who is this absolutely not for? Pick a single industry. The not for question is really good because if you, I guess I should say within the industry you pick. So you should really pick, the goal of this is base level understanding to pick a market, to pick one market. And we'll talk about, actually let's say why one market, why. And because boxes are great, depth versus breadth. Breadth, B-R-E-A-D-T-H, breadth. I don't need you, ChatGPT. I can spell sometimes. All right. So coming out of this base sale, you need to pick a single market because what will happen is if you don't, you will have a diluted understanding and you'll end up with things like revenue and headcount and are they growing, that kind of level of insight. And really what you want is you want depth versus breadth, which is to say, and let me give you an example of this, and I'll go fill this out in a second. Breadth, B-R-E-A, breadth equals revenue growth, headcount growth. hiring for X. None of these things are niche insights. Let's talk about depth. Depth is like, I'm running a project right now where we're looking for competitors of local service. But actually, no, I should talk about depth. Depth. Let's talk about this actually for capital improvement plans. These are for cities specifically. They have these plans online that will determine where they're spending their budget. And so this is like, I know that they PDF versus embedded PDF versus how they talk about the problem. Actually, this is a probably bad example. Let's give a better example of depth. Yeah. When the state releases grants every month on April 15th, every month on the 15th, for tobacco. Oh, actually, no. Okay, I've got a really good one. All right, I'm just going to tell story time. I'm just going to tell a story here instead of write it out. So we're working with solar companies many moons ago, and it turns out that the state would give you 3 free Tesla batteries if 3 things were true. And that was, you must have lived in you must have well water, you must have experienced a PG&E outage, and you must live in a fire zone 2 or 3. 3 things must have been true. But then they'll give you 3 free Tesla batteries. This is called SGIP, Self-Generation Incentive Program. And so that is something that, unless I would have gone really deep in solar, I never would have known. And so that is you wouldn't be able to figure that out because you're not spending time enough with a collection of experts that really have these niche insights. So let's talk about also why I want to market. Scoring pain. It's really hard, can't map to insights. It's really hard if you're like, Jordan, who do you help? It's like, we help everyone and their freaking mothers. Well, you can't map to insights here. So you don't have a great way to score the market to know who cares the most about you. All right. Who is this for? Who is this 10x better for? So you also need to be able to say, like, who is this solution 10 times better for versus what they're doing today? What are their alternatives? And their alternatives aren't necessarily other pieces of software. Sometimes they're like, well, I'll use a spreadsheet. And like, this is why if you're building horizontal SaaS, the answer to these questions usually suck, because it's like, who is this not for? Well, if there's Python in your organization, it's for us. But you can't say who this is not for. You also can't answer this question. What are the alternatives today? And how? What are their alternatives today? And how good are they? Why one market? Indispensable. You basically can become indispensable if you pick. I do need to. Great. You can become indispensable to a singular market, right? If you think about a chatbot, for example, not many indispensable chatbots. You just switch off, get a new one, right? But if you're a chatbot for solar and you integrate with their CRM and you know the qualifying questions and you know state law and you know net metering and you know roof sizes, right? Suddenly you can become indispensable to that solar company. They're not switching off for intercom if you do all that stuff. 3, because I want to make it look like a funnel. Let's do 3. Oh yeah, look at this. Let's look at it. Niche insights. This is like hard-earned lessons. These are hard-earned lessons usually. So when you have a conversation with a customer, when they tell you something like, Jordan, if you meet all these criteria, you qualify, right? That's a hard-earned lesson, right? That's depth. And the other thing that niche insights do is like you can actually deliver value at scale. So this is really the answer to like, well, what do I do if Jordan here, I'm trying to target a lot of people. I'm trying to send a lot of message here about all the great things that we do. What do I do? How come they're not responding? Well, they're probably not responding for 2 things. A, your email deliverability sucks. For sure, that's some part of it. Like, there are. I had a customer that was like, yeah, our email deliverability rates dropped, and then we fixed all our infrastructure, and we're getting a 10% positive reply rate, but I have no idea if that's good. I'm like, that's good. And it's because they have done this, right? They're just targeting this one market and they have a niche insight. But only through this process can you get to this value at scale, which is the sort of the holy grail. And people keep talking about like, well, cold outbound is dead. It's always good to have dead things value at scale. Well, let's like, should I do it like this? Value at scale. Yeah, this is the holy grail. And so really hard-earned lessons give you value at scale because you have story time, because you know who's 10 times better, which means you know who you're not for. You have an understanding of their alternatives because you can go deep. And when you can go deep, you'll start to, I should say, what you'll actually do is you'll find like, oh, that's not the one I wanted to duplicate. You know the data. You know the data like your wife/husband. So you have such an intimate understanding of where this data is, where, and there's lots of data. There's a lot of places where public data is around. And so if you do this, this whole thing creates an amplification effect. Which is to say that every feature you build only applies to one niche. And that makes it more valuable over time. Clay is in an interesting place right now because they have basically just built themselves to be very useful for not necessarily one niche. I mean, technically we're growth consultants, but the amplification effect. So they're, my experience, they're having growing pains right here because because like the needs are so wide and diverse, and this is why I think it. And not that there's anything wrong with having growing pains, but it's really, really hard to get to the place of growing pains until you can experience this amplification effect. And the best way to experience the amplification effect is that everything that you build helps the next customer. Now, you might say, well, Jordan, my chatbot auto response, doesn't that help everyone? Only applies to one niche customer over time, to only them. Because you exist in a market, and in that market, you have to compete. All right, 15 minutes. Bye.